Rerolling and the actual application of the units that you're aiming for. Now, of course, I want to give a quick disclaimer that we don't know 100% yet if the guest accounts will be accessible or even a thing, or if you'll be able to link later on. So just kind of keep that in the back of your head if you are deciding that you want to reroll and maybe it's not a possibility at that moment. But I will say, I think it is still good to have a checklist, because knowing what exactly is going to help you progress and why it's helping you progress is really important. So we're going to be starting out with one of the very first methods, and there's really only two slight differences between both of the methods. In this first method, we're going to be focusing on the target summons first, the limited banner for Freya, and then the permanent summons, and then kind of talking about both SSRs and SRs that you want to make sure you snag. All right. So in the very first banner here, which is the target summons, this is going to be guaranteeing your first SSR in 40 summons. Now you can pull this SSR early as your first multi all the way up to 40 pulls, right? Now, what unit are you going to be aiming for? Now, typically, I would say that more than likely it's going to be characters that are going to help you or excel, I would say, at Doki Doki. And that's just because this is going to be one of the first dungeons that you really need to make sure that you're able to farm, because it's going to help you out with the Swift Rush set. The Swift Rush set is really good for both PvE and PvP. And I would even argue a lot of the early meta is going to be based around who can open first, etc., things of that nature. So when we're looking at target characters, just to recap, Tiamat's going to be one, right? And I mean, literally, she will be probably one of the top choices for a lot of players. You're going to have Remoka, which I definitely would recommend. She has a ton of damage value that she's able to bring, built-in stun, single target, and then can also spread that damage based off the cumulative damage she deals. I would definitely say Lilith is actually a solid choice if you're looking for someone that offers you a couple of different factors to help out with the gimmick, but you will need to make up for some of the damage she'll lack a lot later. So that's kind of why she kind of dwindles, but she does actually have a kit that's built for things like Doki Doki, built-in stunned AoE that will take place after it rotates a turn. She can activate one whenever she feels like it, which I guess is kind of like Romoka, which is why Romoka's a lot better. You have Rahu, who's actually going to be another alternative or option that you can pick up. He's actually a defense scaler, so he does really well. He offers a defense break as well. Again, at that point, you'll have to filter in someone to be able to CC, but he is really, really good for just nuking and just being able to apply the defense break so you can scale your damage. And those would be some of the main ones that I would say. Oh, Born is another one, right? So those would be some of the ones that I would say would help you out tremendously with Doki Doki. And you would just have to kind of make up for some of those things that they're missing. Tiamat, again, there's not really much you have to make up for other than maybe another rotating CC'er, but we'll talk about that in a minute, right? So ultimately, that's going to be your decisions that you basically kind of have for the target summons if you're looking to target Doki Doki or to be as efficient as possible. I would say from there, after you've made that decision and you've gotten your target summon or SSR, the next banner you're going to be shifting into is going to be Freya's banner. Why are we shifting into Freya's banner? Because remember, Freya is going to be offering you, I would say, probably some of the highest utility that you're going to be able to get that's not coming from a light or a dark unit, and I would argue just period, right? So when we're talking about, again, the value, she can increase damage that enemies are taking. She can also give you life leech from the damage that you're dealing. She also can make it to where you're getting turn meter push. Enemies are getting their turn meter pushed back. She's also then able to make it to where you're getting a defense up buff. She's able to purify debuffs as well. And then she also can grant you an attack up buff to scale your damage even further. So she's giving you a lot of different things that's going to help you. And the thing about her kit is that her unique ability is a constant momentum shifter, right? So it's constantly, every time she goes, she's going to be pushing back your opponents and doubling those effects. Every time you go, you're going to, and you say buff, you're going to be pushing and propelling your team, right? You're going to be basically, every time debuffing, it's going to be pushing back the opponent. So this is something that really honestly makes her extremely high in value. So everybody more than likely is going to want a Freya, right? Like they just are. So you're ultimately going to be putting summons into her banner. Again, it's 100 summons, but once you pull her, you stop, okay? So the earlier the better, I will say. But within that, there are going to be some SSRs that you, or sorry, some SRs that you want to make sure that you're picking up. And here's why, because we have to talk about the actual application. So one of the ones that I would say are going to be really good, if we go over to probabilities here, because we have some that are a little bit on, they're actually on rate up. And this is the irony behind her banner, is that they actually give you 3 of which are going to be some of the most important ones that you kind of want to make sure you have. It's another momentum pusher, a CC'er, and a damage amp like a slash debuffer, right? So what we're basically looking at here obviously is Chiaki the Echo. This is easily one of my top SRs that you have to pick up on your account. She's going to be great not only for your mainstay team, helping with rotations when you like open up to say doing a 5-man dungeon, but she's also going to be great when you're starting to do other pieces of content where you need to make 2 teams, because you can easily put Freya on one team and Chiaki the Echo on another team. And basically what you're going to be getting from there, again, attack up. You're going to also have the Ave Maria, which is going to make it to where you're immune to stilling of your turn meter and turn meter pushback. And then you also get that 5% incremental turn meter push at the end of the turn. And then of course, you're also going to be able to have another potential purifier on the team to help out with some of the debuffs. She can purify most debuffs with her skill 1. So she's just absolutely amazing. Great across the board, PvE, PvP. Chiaki the Echo is easily one of the top, if not the top, movement, momentum pusher, or even I would just argue SR in the game, right? Now, you also are going to have Kraken, okay? Now, Kraken is great because the thing about needing a character or characters, I would say, to help you out with Doki Doki, these 2 characters are going to specifically help you out because one's going to be rotating your team, the other one's going to be locking down the enemies in conjunction to whatever target summon unit that you basically pick up. Remember, Leon's not really going to be a great choice because Doki Doki is advantages dungeon, and Leon's going to be getting hit for a ton of damage there, if not getting one-tapped, right? So units like Kraken is going to be attribute neutral. He's going to be offering you CC freeze. So CC freeze is unlike any other CC in the game because targets cannot gain turn meter. So this is meaning that they're locked in place. Now, of course, alternatives, if you don't get Kraken, getting Obul is just as good, right? So Obul works just fine. And between those 2 would be my top recommendations for alternative CC, or really honestly just mainstay CC to, pair up with her, because they do it the best and they're the most reliable in terms of being able to lock down. I would definitely say in terms of raw control though, Kraken still takes the cake in that. What you're getting from Obul is DOT with a regular stun, which allows him to still move on the turn meter. But really, honestly, Kraken's going to be that boy, right? He's going to give you a ton of value. He has the deep frozen, which can, take them even further, push back turn meter. He has pushback as well, which I think is another thing that makes him extremely valuable as a CC unit. And it's nice to know, or to even note, that he is on raid up technically on Freya's banner. So when you're pulling for Freya, you're looking to also get Kraken, Chiaki the Echo, and then the other character, which again, there's this huge emphasis on Doki Doki, but I think it's also important to note that Terramatan is also very important to be clearing, not necessarily just for the gear, but the game actually requires you to be clearing it so that you can get to more of the hyperlink charter missions. And this is kind of what will let you know, like, if somebody's really been pushing or playing that content, because that's how you get to the next portions of your resources, right? So Dinah ends up being another excellent unit that's going to be able to be paired up with that free Leon and that free Gray that you have. She's going to be able to give you a supplement and kind of like being able to scale damage. So she has vulnerability, which will turn into erosion, and that will give you a ton of value there. We're talking about damage scaling with the vulnerability, if that only lands, of 30%. And then if it evolves into the erosion, then you basically will have a hit of true damage equal to 60% of the attacker's attack. And then it also increases that attacker's turn meter. Now, the other thing that's really nice about Dinah is that you're going to have, Gray be your defense breaker, but Dinah can be kind of a reinforcer of that, because any character can basically, basically miss. And the thing with Gray is that he's attribute neutral. For her, she's attribute advantages, right? So there's a lot of benefit that you have in using her as well, because she gets the damage increase, and that ultimately is going to be helping you out as well. She can deal a little bit of damage to also coincide with your Terramatan team. That's another reason why Dinah is going to be a great pickup. So these 3, unironically, they put them on the Freya banner. I would argue they are like definitely 3 units you absolutely want to make sure you're snagging in all the pulls you're collectively doing, because again, you might have, like, say you get Freya early and you shift over to permanent summon, you can still try to snatch these units from that banner, right? I wouldn't say you would necessarily keep pulling her banner if you haven't gotten these units yet. You can go right over to permanent summons, because these aren't necessarily impossible units to target or to get, but the earlier you get them, them, the better. Other units you definitely want to make sure you snag. Let's say you're already done with the limited banner, you obviously got your target summon. Other units I definitely would say are going to be pretty huge. Sania definitely is a really nice one to have. She's going to help you out with PvE and PvP. And the thing is she's one of 2 units that can revive in the game. So it's just kind of an extra layer of insurance, basically. Then you also have, of course, the fact that she can, you know, heal. She also can purify, and she can like kind of boost that based off of HP loss. She also has turn meter push in the skill 1 for herself. So she's great for rotating. Obviously, I would say like characters like Obel, like I just mentioned, is going to be great. He's going to be good for Aurora, which is the 3rd gear dungeon that you need to do. So I know like that's one dungeon a lot of players don't talk about because a lot of people haven't done it, but you do need to do that dungeon, and you will want characters like Obel. It is a reason attribute, so Obel is advantages, and Dot actually is one of the best attributes in there, or sorry, one of the best damage types in there. And then of course, you know, just considering what he's able to do in PvP makes him even better, right? So these are things that are like just some, you know, some of the values that you're just kind of looking for. I would say, of course, you're going to want some of those single target damagers to help you out in some scenarios. I think picking up one or having one along the way is really nice. I think like for sure, you're going to definitely look at characters like I'd say Ren the Unbowed is actually really good for damage, because one of the main things you're farming is speed gear. So you're able to get a ton of value out of her because you are emphasizing speed rush or swift rush. You're gonna have later down the line things like the swift smite, swift raid. These are things that are going to just make this unit much stronger. And I would say as far as like a low investment, you know, single target DPS, she's actually really, really good. I mean, Obero is also good. Sutomo is also really good if you're looking for like a single target DPS to pick up. Just depending on what you're doing, you might have to shift according to the respective attribute. But yeah, Obero is also pretty decent as well. Now, Yang, I think, is going to be a unit that if you don't pick him from the selector box, which you get the selector box like after you do the first couple of chapters, and it's pretty early in the hypercharter progression, Yang is actually a character that I would say you want to snatch. And the reason why is because he's able to dispel buffs in his skill 3. Now, where exactly is this going to be useful, you may ask? This is actually going to be useful on Aurora. And a lot of players are not going to realize that until they get to it. And it's like, wait a minute, I have to actually strip her? Yeah, you do. So he actually ends up being really, really good against Aurora with his skill 3. His skill 3, of course, on auto isn't necessarily used first, but if you're rotating fast enough, the skill 3 will then help you with dispelling. So yeah, Yang is actually really, really good. You do get a selector box with him, Durandot, and Kazuyo the Revere. And out of those like 3, I would say Yang, in my opinion, gives you the most immediate overall value. And then it would probably be Durandot and then Kazuyo the Revere. RC77 is also another great pickup as well. This is another like opening, like debuff, like really good unit for PvP. Has an increased accuracy built in buff in his skill 1, turn meter pushback in the skill 2 with debuff extension, and then you also have that defense break with the attack down and then an AoE stun. So this character actually ends up being really, really good. There's going to be stuff called like the Ethernet rally that you're going to have to do, even things where you'll have to make more than one team. He's going to be great for giving you some of those debuff layerings that you might need. And keep in mind too, he's also the attribute of odd, which allows him to still work for things like Doki Doki, right? Now, of course, shifting down here, I would say some of the ones that are going to be some big standouts, 3 of which, Dorothy the Wisher is definitely a really nice unit to have. She's going to be excellent for some of those PvP setups, some use in PvE for sure. But for those PvP players that's like, hey, I really want to make sure I have things prepared for PvP, Dorothy the Wisher is great. Crit rate buff, life leech. She's able to purify 2 debuffs, and this is AoE, by the way. Turn meter push into skill 2. Single target that also comes with a crit damage up buff, and if it crits, she'll be able to basically double the effects in reducing skill cooldowns and things of that nature, and also 100% turn meter if it crits. And then her skill 1 also can push 30% turn meter as well. So she's really, really solid. I would say for PvE stuff, Fangus is one of the top dot damagers in the game, period. His follow-up attacks is already like kind of insane, or his assists are pretty insane. But the other thing that makes it really like nasty, I would say, is the fact that he's doing dot, but he also does really good damage from the skill itself. So his multipliers are actually decent, considering that he's also then applying dot. He has a speed down also in his skill 3. And because of his passive, you're really going to be seeing him hit a ton, because it's basically if he's able to take action after an ally casts a damage skill, Fangus has a 50% chance to assist, which is going to proc more than not, right? And then from there, I would say one of the last ones that I would recommend would easily be Ren. Ren is going to be another character that's going to help you out in different areas when it comes down to some of the tower content, and of course like the Ethernet rally. And she has the AoE taunt, she has defense up with shield, and then she has a CC or a taunt that's AoE, sorry, single target taunt in the skill 1, AoE taunt in the skill 3, and then she also has that attack down, and she's a defense scaler. So that's another thing that makes her really, really nice. But yeah, that's just like some of the immediate value when we're talking about some of the like RGB SRs. Now, when we're looking at the darks, right, the light darks, I would say easy ones that if you get them, then GG. The Ting is going to be very, very good for you later on. I would even say he could work earlier, but really when he has the proper build, his damage is like it's just not really anyone that's comparable. He really operates well off of debuff stacking or damage amplifying, so giving him all the proper damage boosts that he needs for buffing and making sure that the enemy has enough debuffs applied to them is going to be great, right? Then of course you have Victor. Victor is going to be another one that if you pick up, he's going to help you out tremendously in almost everything. He could be used in anything, and he's great because again, his attribute, his single target damage is going to basically scale off of how much HP he loses, and he also gets a damage reduction based off of how much HP he loses. So between those two things and the fact that he's able to self-sustain himself, he recovers HP equal to 70% of the damage that he deals. Yeah, this guy's a monster. He's a powerhouse. He's able to self-sustain himself. He's going to be great as a reroll unit that you want to pick up. I would definitely say Marvel is going to be nice if you're able to get him. He's one of one in the game currently. Only unit in the game that can reduce speed and res. So I feel like this is something that's going to matter even more in PvP, especially for those that are wanting to go for more of a debuff centric team. Not really anywhere where I feel like it's a must to have him in PvE, but I definitely say a little bit more of an emphasis in PvP because he also comes with a silence in the skill 2, and you can also he can also still turn meter in the skill 1, right? So those would be some of my targets there. Just I feel like I really wanted to emphasize. From there, I would say, of course, I got to mention the SSRs because I know somebody's gonna ask if you're re-rolling, who's like a must pick, right, or must pick up. I would say it's gonna definitely be between Doki Doki, Lily, and Heinrich. I feel like if you get Messiah, it's nice. I feel like if you get Shadow Sania, it's nice. They're very, very good. I do not want to take away from their value, but I'm just speaking to the actual application and where these characters are going to be used and how many team comps they're used in. Heinrich is literally one of the best for Terra Matan. He's not the only option, but he is one of the best for the hardest difficulty in Terra Matan. So he's going to be able to give you a lot of value working your way up, buff stripping, debuff landing. He has the ability to increase crit damage and also the chance of critting against his opponent. So he's really, really good. And he also offers a good amount of damage himself. Doki Doki, I mean, listen, her buffing, we just talked about that in the last video. Absolutely insane rotations. She can purify a ton of debuffs, reduce cooldowns. I mean, the chick does everything. Literally the only thing she can't do is damage, right? And then of course, Lily is going to be one of those top units just for being able to be the ultimate pairing unit. She's going to be great in PvE. There's a ton of PvE content that she actually excels in for speed clears. And then on top of that, she's actually a really, really oppressive unit in PvP because she basically takes herself and her partner and make them into gods, right? Like she just really gives so much value and utility from turn meter push, damage amping. She's great, right? So if I had to isolate it, it would definitely be those three. If you do get Messiah or Shadow Sania, that's still good, right? Messiah can still help you in PvE content. He definitely requires more of an in-game build, in my opinion. Shadow Sania definitely requires more speed tuning than anything. It's a little bit more specific, I feel like, with these units, but I will say if you get any of them, they still are going to be valuable on your account. Dot's going to become very, very powerful very much later on your account because that's going to be the basis of a lot of speed clear teams. And then Messiah is going to be extremely powerful because he's going to be one of the hardest hitting cleavers AoE in the game. So that's definitely something that's like, you know, worth mentioning. Now, outside of that, guys, there's really not much else that you would be aiming for. If you do decide to go for, say, another target, right? You want to pick up something completely different. This is now going to be basically, you have to filter and make up for what you're lacking. So let's say, for example, you decide that on your target summons, you want to go Hell Kid, okay? You're going to have to make up for what you're lacking. He's going to excel a lot more in things like Aurora and Terra Matan. So you'll have to make up for what you're lacking in Doki Doki, which respectively so, you're going to be doing Doki Doki a lot more first, over doing, I would say, Aurora or even Terra Matan. You still need to do them, right? But you can make do. Just know that you're not going to be getting the highest quality or value right off rip if you don't have a unit that really excels at that dungeon, right? So you can literally pick anywhere, anyone you want, and you'll excel a little bit more maybe in one of the other respective dungeons. But I think out of the three, Doki Doki ends up being one of the most important ones when you're first starting out. Now, the other thing is too, guys, I want to just mention really quick the other methods. So what some players are going to do are they're going to basically go for trying to pull on the permanent summons first and or limited banner first, and then using their target summon last. Yes, that is an option. Do I recommend doing that? That's not necessarily, but some people are going to do that first. They're going to pick up, you know, whatever they can from the permanent summons, and then whatever they don't get, they'll use the target summons. I don't think that that's like something that's worthwhile waiting too long to do, just because it's a matter of progression, and you want to progress as fast as you can, leveling up your account as much as you can. And because there isn't a real guarantee, I would say if you're re-rolling, I guess that can work in that regard. But if we're not really able to do it like that, then you're still going to want to make sure you're guaranteeing you're getting something you want. So that's basically going to be that with this, guys. I hope that this was able to give you a little bit more context on the specifics of actual application. Why exactly are you picking these units? You know, how and, you know, what their values are in that regard. But ultimately, these units that you're snatching are going to just be huge benefits to that overall linear way of progressing. Is that the only way to progress? No. Do I think it's one of the more optimal ways? Yes. So that's that, guys. Everyone stay blessed, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.